I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. I'm your host, Dano Hamilton. You guys got a great guest with us tonight. I got Logan with us tonight. Now, Logan, I wouldn't say is eccentric, but he is well-rounded in the world of cryptids, Bigfoot. Logan has had some sightings. Logan has had some up and personal encounters. He's a researcher and he's a developer. And he actually developed an app, and we'll go on and talk about the app later in the show. But before we get to the show, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the support you show the channel. You guys, if you have had an encounter, you'd like to come on the show, there it is. Shoot me an email at the Cryptid Podcast 72@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's bring our guest on tonight. Let's bring on Logan. Logan, what's up, buddy?
Hey, it's going.
How
Good
you
to be
doing?
here. Oh, not too bad. It's Monday, but other than that, good. Doing good.
Yeah, I know, man. So you're up in BC?
I'm actually in Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas. Okay. Hey, I love Texas. Texas is one of my favorite places I've ever been to. So I was stationed there for a little while, going through basic training and a couple of specialty schools. So yeah, I loved it. So
Yep, it's a good state.
I think it's one of the best states, if you ask me. But so, like I said, you and we talked a little bit before, and you've had a couple of, a couple of sightings and then a handful of close-up encounters. So, before we get into both of those, let's start out with my very first question, and let's get this thing rolling. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So, can you walk us through your very first cryptid encounter? What happened? And how did it change your perspective on the whole cryptid world around you?
Okay. So I'll give a little bit of background, won't get super in depth, and then I'll kind of walk through the first encounter if that works.
Sure.
I think it's all pertinent. So, I've been into the paranormal space for a long time. Kind of got started with Coast to Coast AM a long time ago, and then just kind of evolved from there. Always super interested in Bigfoot, though. And I reached out to a researcher in Canada. I think a lot of people know him, they either love him or hate him. I kind of wanted to see if what he was about. If he I reviewed a lot of his footage. This is Todd Standing, so I reviewed his documentary, and I was like, well, if this is real, then this guy has really excellent footage. He's got a lot of evidence. I really wanted to get out to a space to where I could actually have an interaction and not just go camp and have nothing happen, right? So I decided to sync up with Todd, which was a long period of time to where we talked back and forth. But I finally got out there in 2021, right around the COVID era. We went out to his base camp that he has in British Columbia, kind of between Radium and Banff, Radium Hot Springs and Banff in Canada. And this was in September of 2021. So really my first encounter, I had several different instances that happened the first time I was out there, but I was out there for about 7 days total. And this is a very remote location. There's really at the time I used a satellite phone. This is kind of before Starlink was kind of big, right? But there was no cell phone, no internet, no people for 60 miles, been all in a circle, right? So it's pretty much just nothing out there, middle of the mountains. So coming in the next day, he has this area where he does gifting for apples. And we were going up there, and he was showing us why he kind of picked it as a gifting area. And he was showing us these big tracks in the stagnant, on the moss on the bottom of the forest there. And they were really 15-inch tracks. I've never seen at that point, I'd never seen a Bigfoot track up close. So I was really examining stuff and looking at things closely and trying to figure things out. And we go up to this tree, and like this is where he kind of puts a bunch of apples out. So we end up putting 15 different apples in this kind of this elevated area, kind of like a mound area in the middle of the forest with a bunch of trees growing up. And I was on his shoulders, and I was putting like these apples 15 feet in the air, and doing some video recording and stuff. And we were just talking about like what they do, and kind of like wood knocks and like things of that nature. So what we ended up doing at the time, he was thinking that they were doing more what he called rock knocks more than a wood on wood, like hitting a rock on a tree. So I was out there with another person named Craig, and he was showing Craig like, hey, hit this tree with a rock and see what kind of sound it makes. So he picks up it's kind of the Rocky Mountains. So he picks up a rock and hits this tree, and it hurts his hand a bit and makes a sound probably that'll go, I don't know, 50, 100 yards into the forest before it absorbs all the sound. And we kind of just waited, I'd say about 45 seconds, and we got this response back. And this is, again, the second day I was there. I wasn't really expecting, like, I didn't know what to expect. We just got this huge, response back that was like, I'd say 4 to 5 times louder than his rock knock, like north of where we kind of camp in his old trailer shell. And we could tell exactly where it came from, but it was just this huge bang that came, and it was about somewhere between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. in the morning Mountain Time. And I was just kind of like, really? Did that just happen? Like, because I know just searching the area for the day that we've been there, I know there's like no people out there. So it was pretty amazing just to get that call back. And like hear that sound and how loud it was. So that was like my first cryptid experience as far as like interaction level with a Bigfoot.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. So when you and what you say his name was Craig?
Hmm.
When you and Craig were doing this, where was Todd?
He was right beside us.
Wow. And so it was just you three up in that area?
Yep. It
Wow.
was a expedition with me, Todd, and Craig for 7 days.
7 days out there. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So let me ask you this. So out of all of your experiences, which one still sticks with you the most and why?
The one that sticks with me the most would be probably the most up close and personal encounter I had, because they were right beside me when I was sleeping. Um, I'd say it's just because it was just so close to me and so personal, as far as like heart racing, like thrilling, kind of set me on my path to trying to do the app I built and everything else, and try to get more data and more footage and things of that nature. So I'd say that would be the most vivid, and I don't know, you could call it like an emotional experience for me, because it was a lot. And then recently I had another one where I had a direct interaction when I went up to his base camp about early June-ish. That was pretty amazing as well. But I can kind of dig into that first one if you'd like me to keep going with that one.
Yeah, let's get in that whole thing. Let's paint the picture for us.
So I've been going up there to that area since 2021, at least once a year, just because I've seen all the evidence, and I really think it's a high frequency spot. And I've seen tracks, I've seen the tree breaks, had it, like I said, other interactions, a little bit of everything. So kind of going into it, my plan was to try to be more secluded on that expedition a little bit, and like try to get some direct one-on-one interaction. So it's a little intimidating out there. It's grizzly bear, black bear, mountain lion. Like I said, it's remote. So really, Todd doesn't like people wandering off too far, because he feels personally responsible if someone dies, right? So
Yeah.
um, I was looking for a good spot just to go and do something like that. And like it seems to be that every time I was like, well, this would be a good spot, like it would be like a rain that night or something, and I'd be like, well, I don't want to sleep in the rain, right? So I ended up 2 days before the expedition was over, just sleeping by the campfire. Most people don't sleep outside. I don't know if it's just like a common, like a fear-based thing, just because you're out in the woods. There's nothing but woods and you out there. And like he has a couple camper shells now out there that are basically just to sleep in to protect you from the elements and the wildlife, right? So most people would choose to sleep in that rather than outside. Every time I've gone, no one's really slept outside but me, that I know of. So I slept outside by the fire that night. There was 2 other people with me. They were brothers from Pennsylvania. And it was about 1 a.m. and I was out there in a sleeping bag. This was in July, I think, of 2023. And the individual that was out there, his name was Dan, and he was just kind of doing some woodworking with a knife and just playing around. He liked to play with his knife and wood a bit. And he asked me if I mind if he sat out there with me for a while. I said, no, I don't care. And I was just, it was about 1 a.m. and everyone had gone to bed. And I was kind of in and out of it. And the fire is probably, I don't know, 30, 40 feet away from the camper RV kind of shell. It's a really old camper. It didn't even really have power. And I'm kind of at you know how you make a campfire, there's an incline around it. It kind of does a natural ditch around it, right? So I'm kind of in this kind of ditch area by the campfire, sleeping in my sleeping bag. And I wake up around 4 o'clock, and I see the guy I'm with. His name is Dan. He gets up. He puts a piece of wood on the fire. And he's like, all right, good night. I'm going in the trailer. What he didn't tell me was he got up because he heard something behind him and he got scared and went inside, right? So that's like, later on, I was like, thanks for telling me, right? But so, and I didn't realize the sun. I'm not in mountain time. I'm central time, and I'm not used to the summer of, the sun kind of goes down fully there about 12 p.m. in the summer. And like, I didn't know the sun rose about 4:50. It was only like 4 hours of darkness there. So I was thinking it was like 6:30 or so. I didn't know what time it was, because I had just kind of cocked one of my eyes open, and I was leaned on my right side towards the fire, and I could see a little bit of the blue out of my eye, and I was thinking in my head, well, I stayed out here and I didn't have anything happen. Nothing's gonna happen. It's morning time. I can kind of sleep, a little bit better for the next few hours and get some rest, because I was kind of off and on awake outside. And as I said that in my head and rolled over onto my back and put my hands on my chest, all you hear is 2 foot, like they didn't know I was gonna roll, but something was right behind me. I'd say 2 to 3 feet, looking at me, just staring at my back. And I rolled on my back, and it jumped and hit the ground behind me and landed on both feet. You could hear bipedal boom, right? And I was like, oh man, I don't know what to do here, because I'm at a total disadvantage. I'm on the ground. I'm kind of angled. I can't fully even turn that direction, because like I said, it's kind of like a natural ditch towards the fire. So for me to actually turn fully that direction, I have to turn my entire body like this. And I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm just hearing things. Like at that point, my heart was super racing, because I know I heard it, but I was trying to validate in my head that it was real. So I'm trying to get my heartbeat to slow down. And I have my right eye that's closer to the fire kind of cracked open. And I can see a little blue in the sky. And my left eye is shut. I can't seem to open it. And I didn't know if this Bigfoot individual knew that I was awake or asleep, and it was just watching me. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait and see if I can hear it. So I got my heartbeat to slow down a bit, and then you just hear the lightest footsteps kind of just walking around my head, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, I'm not crazy. I hear this. And it does that for 2 to 3 minutes. And every time it's walking around me, I'm just getting totally okay, what do I do? Like, this is what I came for, but if this thing looks at me and knows I'm awake, is it gonna be like super mad at me? Is it gonna like kick me? Like, I don't really know what to do. So I finally get the courage up to just kind of say, okay, well, I'm just gonna roll the opposite direction to let it know that I'm kind of waking up, and then I'll cock my head over. But it walked around me like kind of mid torso to head for at least 3 to 4 minutes and just kind of stepped around me. And by the time I got the courage up to like actually do that, cock my head over, turn towards the fire, look over my shoulder, it just kind of ninja vanished, right? I didn't see it. I checked for like the substrate around there is not great. Like, it'd be really hard to make footprints, but like it was just gone. But like that really made like a huge impression on me, because I know it wasn't anyone. It wasn't Todd. It wasn't the two brothers that were out there with me. They were all in there. I could hear them clearly, all snoring super loud in that RV. Like they're big snorers. And yeah, it just made a big impression on me. And I really had wished that I had set up some audio or some video just to record me while I was sleeping out there, because I think I would have got some really good footage of an individual. And I don't know this for certain. It's just like like a feeling. I just felt like it was more of a juvenile or feminine energy. Like, I can't prove that. I just
Right.
know what I kind of felt at the time, and that was very soft, very, very soft footprints. The only like just walking, the only reason I could hear it's because my basically my ears were wide open listening, and I could hear the soft prints walking around me, right? So that kind of set me off a bit, because like I said, I've had experiences out there, but nothing that up close. And then kind of after that, I started talking to Todd and trying to figure out, well, these things they're out there, they're real. I've seen all the evidence, and I know in Todd's space, a lot of people think he's hoaxing half of it, and half his stuff is real, or all of it's fake, or all of it's real. And I'm just trying to follow the evidence. I don't try to tell anyone, I don't try to make anyone change their opinion on Todd at all. I'm just trying to find the evidence. So I know what happened to me, and I've seen stuff out there, like I said, and I actually have footage of a juvenile from out there. That me and another guy named Bill actually recorded it, but I was with him. We were out there October last year, and Bill actually captured it on his. So I captured some stuff on my. I had the cameras up then, so I captured some audio. But when we went out there to investigate and kind of sit there, he was smart enough to click his phone on and kind of do a scan, like 360 around him. And we didn't even, or I say we, it was really Bill, but he didn't even catch it until 2 or 3 months later, right? Like, when he was reviewing it, and
Yeah.
he sent it to me. He's like, "Oh my God, what do I have here?" And I'm like, "That's a Bigfoot. Like, there's no other explanation. Like, you see, like, I can show it to you, but um, I think I posted it. You know, I like social media, and I don't like it at the same time. So
Yeah.
I finally posted it to a couple of my things. I think TikTok, maybe Instagram, and just did some. I threw it out there into the world, but I don't think many people have really seen it. It was, to me, it's not a lot of people have captured a real Bigfoot on video, and it just from the look of it, it looks like a juvenile, and you can clearly see the leg walking, and it kind of just appears perfectly camouflaged and starts walking mid screen to left, right in our middle of our interaction. So I mean, that's, to me, that's amazing, and I know there's some kind of troop of Bigfoot out there in British Columbia. And I think more of the juveniles like to come out and like interact with us more than probably the older individuals. It seems that way. But yeah, that's one of the amazing things. Like I said, I can't even take credit for it. I do have my cameras out there, but that piece of footage is actually, I'd have to say it's Bill's footage, but he's allowing me to use it and put it out there into the world because he's kind of a private guy.
Yeah. Now, so let me ask. So you said you had 2 sightings. When was your first sighting?
So, the last time I went out there, I went out there to go. Basically, the first equipment I put out there, we had a generator and some direct AC, and I set up a system that would work as far as doing a live streaming to cameras. But I spent probably the last from January to April building like a direct DC system that would be more energy efficient. So I was out there setting up this architecture that would be more reliable and work with the solar better and the better batteries and everything. So that's why I was out there in June. So really, I had interactions. The one I was talking about where Bill captured the Bigfoot on the thing, we had like a sighting right there. It was more of like we saw it, but it was blurry. But he got it on footage. But my kind of my direct sighting is, like I said, when I was out there recently in June, I had slept outside with another individual in front of my cameras trying to be, human bait, I guess, if you want to call it. Most people, like I said, don't do that. They're kind of wary of sleeping outside and just on the ground. And we didn't, it was a full moon that night. I think the only thing that we really heard when we were out there was some mouth pops when we were laying out there throughout the night. And I had gotten up around 6:30 in the morning because it was cold and it got colder than I thought it would. And then we had actual basically frost all over the sleeping bag and stuff. So I had gotten up and I was trying to warm my body up. So I went for a walk and went kind of up a hill and down a hill. And I had brought some protection with me for bears. So I had this basically a 12 gauge shotgun with me. But I kind of walked away from base camp probably, I'd say 2 football fields away maybe. And it was kind of just sitting in this field where I know I've found some tracks before. It's kind of an opening, and I had my back to the forest. And I was just kind of sitting there. You can say what you want, kind of meditating, kind of, trying to think in my head, like, come out and, do something, right? I wasn't really talking out loud. I was more or less mentally kind of going that direction. And I thought maybe if I had my back more to the tree line in the forest from this opening, that maybe they'd come up behind me and be more comfortable if I'm not looking directly at it. So that's what I did. And I'd say about 10 minutes into that, I just hear this huge stomp, like I'd say it was 20 feet behind me. And you just hear 2 big stomps, like boom, boom. And I could feel the ground shake, right? And I kind of had I kind of was shocked for a second, and I got up and my shotgun was on the ground and I was looking ahead of me, and I was just looking, and I was like, well, if this is some other bear or something, I better just have the shotgun beside me. So I just kind of reached down and put it and had it kind of standing by my leg. And I was looking straight into the forest, and all I could see was something behind this tree, and it was gray, and it was looking at me. And like I said, I have like some footage of when I did that. It's like I said, it's probably like 30 feet away. And it was kind of like post that I turned my camera on, just did some like footage of the area. But like I'm staring at something and it's gray, and that's all I can kind of see. And then you just kind of see this, I don't know what it is, but it hits the tree and like yells at me, right? And goes, "Oh!" Right? Like, I don't know if that's what I was asking for or not, but it like I was like, "Whoa, okay." Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And all I can see was like something hit the tree, and it shook this tree, and it like screamed at me, like, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I I just kind of stood my ground because I kind of learned my lesson the first few times of, this is what I'm here for. I'm not going to run away from anything. So I'm just going to sit here. And all I could see was whatever it was back away. Like I said, I couldn't see a lot of it. The only thing I could really see as a color was it was a gray color. So to me, that maybe that was, elder. I don't know. And then it backed up, and then I sat there for a good 60 seconds before I did anything. And then I pulled my phone out and started doing the scanning. And then I got a couple knocks to my right, kind of loud knocks. And then I was like, okay. And then I kind of walk into that area. Where it did it was there's an old tree break, and they're kind of classic around that area where the angle's always the same. And so it was right below this tree break, and there's a big tree right there. And I looked on the ground. I was trying to look for really any kind of trace evidence on the ground. I couldn't find anything. And I kind of just turned around. I was like, okay. And I just walked around in there for a while, did some recording, came out, sat back down out in the field, and again, just kind of sat there. And the only thing that happened post that was I got in a different direction. I got two big knocks that were clearly, in my opinion, a Bigfoot knock, because I've heard a lot of knocks out there, and I know the difference between trees moving and other things, and woodpeckers and stuff like that. And these are really loud knock, like response back knocks. So again, that's what I'm working up to, is more and more interaction, at least in that area. And those were pretty, to me, really amazing. I've had other instances out there where we've had more interactions, and I think we treed maybe a smaller one. It's really hard to tell because it was just a weird scenario. And we've had trees get pushed and thrown through another one while I was out there, like owl whoops, like baby chatter, like juvenile kind of like chirps. I've found probably over 10 sets of tracks out there just on my own, right? Like they have so much activity just in that area. And really the most activity is around the base camp. Like they come in, I guess to watch us, right? Because when we go hiking and wandering miles away, like we don't really get much, but we're sitting there. That's when we get most of the interaction. So that, and they've been taking the offerings for the apples out in the area for the last 2 months. I think they've taken it every single time. So we put apples out, next day they're gone. We put them high, they're gone. Like these are anywhere from 5 to 15 feet up in the tree. And we know it's not animals. And yeah, there's just a whole lot of activity out there. I could go on and on as far as that goes. So another, and you can stop me whenever you need to here. Another place where I have a system, in Pennsylvania, there is a couple that have a really hot area, and they've had activity for the last, I'd say, 10 years. So they moved into this place, and they got a good deal on it because the people that lived there previously, I don't know what happened with them, but literally they left everything in their house. They left dishes in the sink, and they just took off, right? So if that tells you anything, they left in a hurry, and they got a good deal on this place, and it's on the edge of the Allegheny Forest in Pennsylvania. And I've been trying to get in there. I know some researchers up there for like 6, 7, 8 months because they have so much activity. So I finally have a system up there, an optical and a thermal camera going. And when I go up there, the very first time I meet everyone, like they have a lot of handprints everywhere. And there's sebum on the hands, and they're big handprints. And it's like the thumb is like almost like a vertical thumb on the handprint. It's hard to explain, but it leaves like a white residue on things. So they have them on the house, on the windows, on their cars. So when we were up there doing that, I had set everything up and worked with some people up there, and we were sitting around a campfire. and the owner had seen something by the big RV kind of sprinter van we were in. We go over there and there's a big handprint on the side, right? And I don't know how that's done. Like we're only like 30, 40 feet away from this car. So I
Mhm.
don't know how they're so good at sneaking up on this place, but they have a whole lot of activity there. Um, they leave them gifts all over the place. I just got a picture of this big rock and a red pepper that they had placed on top of the AC unit. They have left lots of dead animals. They recently, I think, killed a lot of chickens and took their heads off and left them all over the place. And people have been putting flyers up recently saying their dogs are missing in those woods.
Mhm.
So they've just had like all the time. They slap their house all the time. At least 2-3 times a week, they'll come up and just slap their house. So I'm trying to get all that evidence and footage, but also still keep them somewhat private because they don't want to like I guess live stream their house. So
Yeah.
it's a bit tricky to not point towards a house that's getting hit and knocked on.
For
So
for people out there, because you said sebum, explain to everybody may not understand what that is. What is it?
it's kind of like an oil residue from your hands almost, like if you have a handprint, there's a residue that you leave on everything.
Mhm.
But when they do it, it's white and it looks chalky. Um, and they probably like there's a researcher up there that's probably collected, I don't know, 20-30 different sets of prints and like lifts them and actually gets the actual, I'm not a fingerprint expert, but he actually does it right, like, CSI level stuff.
Right.
And like he actually gets their thumbprint and their fingerprints. And there's like a clear difference in like the spacing of the ridges and everything. Like he's done this whole presentation on it. But yeah, it's basically just a residue off their hands.
Hmm. So let me let's switch gears over to your investigation work, your research work. So have you noticed any patterns um in your investigation, such as geography, weather, basis? Where does the activity seem to spike, do you think?
Sorry, my signal cut out for a second. Could you say it one more time?
Sure. Uh, have you noticed during your any of your investigations, any patterns such as like geography, weather, or even lunar phases, where the activity seems to spike?
Um, I'd say there's a lot less activity when there's rain. Um, I don't get a lot of activity during around when it's storming, especially if it's a couple of days. They seem to like to come out when if it's been storming for a few days, they'll have a lot more interaction because I guess they're just, maybe they don't like the rain. I'm not sure. And nobody likes to get wet. As far as like frequency, I still like I'm collecting all the data points and putting a database together of um, everything as far as audio, video, amplitude, frequency, movement, heat stuff. So I'm trying to put all that together to build an actual model of frequency. Um, all I can say is between the hours of 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. seems to be the highest amount of frequency. And in British Columbia, there seems to be more right around dawn, that happens as well. So, but it's very sporadic. There doesn't like there'll be random interactions during the middle of the afternoon. So I can't say there's a huge pattern. The other sites that I have systems at, it's more or less the same. It seems to be right after dark into not early morning, but kind of after midnight kind of a thing.
Mhm.
As far as the moon cycles, so far I haven't found that to be like a super amount of heavy activity during a full moon. Like I said, it just seems to be sporadic for my case. Like I'm trying to clock that because I'm doing automations around turning IR things off when there's moonlight. So I could actually just have moonlight camera views rather than IR views. So I've been experimenting with no IR, full IR, just thermal, a little bit of everything to try to see if I could get some different patterns there. But I they're they do what they want. That's what I've found.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I believe as well. Let me ask you this. So, what is the most compelling evidence that you've personally collected during a field investigation?
um, I have a few things where I like field or just audio or video or
Just while you're out during an investigation, what do you feel is the most compelling evidence that you've personally ever collected?
so I'd say one that sticks out to me would be this 18, I think it's 19 inches actually track. It's 19 inches long and like 8 inches wide. And we came up on this track and it's 3 inches into the substrate and whatever, I think it's the alpha, but whatever that is must weigh 1,500 pounds. And it is, if you put your foot in this track, it's just amazing that something can be that big. Uh, like you'd have to be there to see it, to be honest, because pictures don't do it justice. Most of the pictures of footprints just don't do them justice at all. But when you're out there in the middle of the woods and you find something like that, and it's clear that you can see the toe indentions and you can see whatever, it made this huge stomp. It was purposeful, like I'm here kind of a stomp in the ground, and you find that and it's fresh, maybe 2 weeks old at the most. I mean, it's pretty powerful evidence to me. Um, or I'd say that's probably the most compelling to me, just seeing those tracks. Like I said, I've found juvenile tracks. I've found tracks like that. I've found tracks all over. And just the tracks themselves are, to me, they're damning evidence because nothing is out there and nothing would make that. And it's almost like they do it on purpose. Like they don't care. Like if they don't want to leave a track, they don't have to, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they're, masters of the woods. So, they can do it if they want to, or if they don't, they don't. They might slip up every now and then, but that's pretty cool evidence. And then I'd say I've come up on some tree breaks that are pretty amazing that no man could do, no reason for it being there. And I've heard the actual snaps of trees around me, and trees getting destroyed for no reason, and finding that the next day and seeing the power that they have and seeing the footprints walking up to the tree and seeing what they've done to this, 8-inch thick tree, like it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like just snapping it like 20 feet up and throwing it through another tree. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense how powerful they are. So that to me is really good evidence.
So, let me ask you this one. Have you ever felt like you were in real danger while you're out researching? We all have those feelings like we're being watched, or you get that feeling like, you know what, uh, I need to go because I do not need to be here.
I haven't got that feeling. I kind of come at it when I go and do field research as I'm here to, you know, be friendly, and I'm not going to do anything to, harm the area or the people or I think there are people. So I just come out with positivity and no negative. Like I don't believe in, killing for a sample or anything, right?
Right.
Me, I'm just going out there to actually get data, get evidence, and have an interaction and like have an experience. So I haven't ever felt that way. I know other people maybe have. Being on the ground that one time, I did have a high heart rate and a little bit of anxiety just because I was kind of halfway asleep.
But
So,
you were also at their mercy.
right,
Like they could have stomped on you,
right. So
and you were
I,
half in a grave pretty much anyway, sleeping in a ditch.
yeah. So there's a little. Anyone that says there's not a little bit of fear is probably lying to you, right? Because
Yeah.
most people have a fear of the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen. I'd say I'm getting more acclimated to it, and I'm just really trying to get it out there. But yeah, as far as like having that weird sense of I need to get out of here, I haven't personally had that.
Okay. Now, while you've been out doing your investigations, trying to get that sighting or get that interaction, have you ever captured anything unusual, like an audio or video or pictures or even a footprint of something that you just can't explain? Like it's not hitting the checklist that you would have if you're thinking, okay, was this made by Sasquatch or whatnot? And if so, can you describe it?
So I can think of two different things. One is directly, well, they're both, I was there for both. One of them is audio, like we were sitting by the campfire. I think it was somewhere between, and I document all this. That's the only way I know the time frames. It's about 9:25 to 9:35 p.m. at night. Um, and a lot of people that are into the paranormal stuff, if they listen to a lot of podcasts, they'll hear people talk about like the metal door shutting, right? So I've been out to the British Columbia site probably 8 times now, right? And I've never heard anything like that. But that instance, it sounded like we're just sitting by the fire and we just hear this, like it sounds like a metal gate that went, I don't know, it just opened and slammed, right? It sounded metallic. It sounded like what people say, whatever, a portal or whatever. But it was super weird, and it was probably, I'd say, 50 feet from the campfire in the woods from us. And I've never heard anything like that. And I was trying to get in my head of what it would be. And I think I have the audio for it somewhere. Problem is, the audio has campfire crackling, right? So you can't hear it. Like I'd have to totally wipe a lot of it, and you're not going to be able to hear most of it. But all the people around the campfire, we all heard it, that weird metallic door shut of
Mhm.
like a gate, almost like a farmer's gate, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing in the woods in that area at all that's metal. And the only thing that we could think of that is metal is they have these kind of like timber markings for the national forest that have a metal sign to them, and they're probably 600 yards away. So we were thinking, well, let's go hit those things and maybe see if that's what it was. But it's not that at all. It's not what we heard. It doesn't sound like it. So I don't know what it was, but I did hear that weird metal door opening. Now the other instance wasn't my direct visual. So the second time I went out there, I don't know if you've ever seen the Survivor Man Bigfoot series.
Mhm.
So there's one where Survivor Man goes out with Todd to the top of the mountain and sleeps up there. So I went and did that exact hike and went up that mountain and slept up there because I wanted to see what it was about and how hard it would be to fake that, right? So I went and did that with I have a nephew that's kind of like a brother because anyway, my sister's older than me, so he's 6 years younger than me. So at the time, he was probably 32 and I was like 38. And so we went and scouted this mountain area to go for the next day to go sleep up there and do this hike. It's like an 8-hour hike up this mountain to go sleep up there on this ridge, on this incline. And when we were coming back from the scouting kind of mission to make sure there's not too much snow up there, like he saw something out there that he can't explain. And he drew a picture of it, and he didn't want to tell me about it at first because what brought it on was he asked me when we were done with that scouting, he's like, is Todd not telling us everything? And I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't know, is he just not telling us everything? And I said, I don't know, he's always been pretty transparent to me. I don't know what you mean. And he just kind of dropped it. But the whole time we were out there and when we went up the mountain, he had such anxiety. Like he wanted to go down, right? He didn't want to be there. And he didn't tell me till later that when we were on that scouting mission, and he looked up on the ridge to his left on the way back, and it's probably 30 feet above him, and like I said, I didn't see it, so all I can do is tell you what he said. But he said it looked like a goat man with what is it, mantis arms up there on the ridge watching him. And he said it was green and had a goat face and horns, but it had like mantis kind of bug arms. And it looked at him for a few seconds and then kind of just stepped back and like got out of view. And like he wasn't even sure that's what he was like questioning his own mental processing at that point. But he had enough like visual to actually draw a picture of the whole thing. So that would be the only thing that what I'd say is weird that anyone's ever told me, was that, and like it really freaked him out. And we still talk about it this day, but I haven't seen anything like that. But I believe there's probably, if there can be Bigfoot or some kind of cryptid out there, I mean, there's a possibility of other things that may be out there that we haven't seen. This place is remote, right? I think he told me something, I can't remember. He told me that people have seen something to that nature, and I don't remember what kind of cryptid it's called or what it is, but it's kind of this goat mantis thing.
All right. Final question before we get into a couple other things here. So, if you could investigate anywhere in the world with unlimited resources, where would you go and why?
I'd say California, Canada, just the western Oregon, all those areas. I'd say I'd go in that direction just because I just think it's ideal environment. There's just so many reports out there. I don't know about the Bluff Creek place anymore, but I would just find, like I said, I think the place up in British Columbia is a really high frequency zone. So any place that like has just tons of activity or interactions, and if I had unlimited resources, I would just, do what I'm doing even more to the extreme and stay out there for months at a time and have an ongoing collaboration out there of never leaving the area and trying to get as much data as possible and scouring every square foot of everything, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about other countries and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a lot of good places. I just go off of, I listen to a lot of shows, and I think Sasquatch is all over the U.S. and Canada. I don't think it's limited to the Northwest or California or Canada. I think it's a little bit everywhere. Like I said, a lot of activity in Pennsylvania, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, even New York.
Upstate,
Texas too. I live in Texas, but it's really hard to figure stuff out here, in my opinion.
So let's switch gears over to your app. So I sent myself a couple screenshots of what the icon looks like, I should say. So here's the icon. And where can they find that?
So it's on Android and Apple.
Okay. And here is a screenshot of the app. Now, I assume it's a subscription-based app.
Yep.
And when people download this and become a member, what is the cost for the app? And, kind of go over what the app does for people.
Okay. So I really built it to be really a community driven collaboration of discovering Bigfoot together for people that want to look at high frequency places and do reportings. Maybe some people that can't get out into the woods too. So my mission really was to bring it to everyone that can't get out there, and then at the same time collect data. And there's just a lot of reasoning behind it because I think people aren't really putting the data out there. There might be some channels and they're saying what's happening, but there's not an active database and there's not people talking to each other. There's a lot of subdivided groups all over. It's almost like little mini churches everywhere that all hate each other for some reason, right? So I'm trying to get people to like work together here, but really what you get out of it is right now, and I've been working hard to try to find, it's unique because you got to find the right people that are open to it, and you got to find places that actually have activity that are, somewhat frequent. I want an authentic experience of, high reportings, high area. So right now we have 7 streams. 4 of those are optical and 3 of them are thermal. So I don't know anyone that's doing a 24/7 thermal stream of a Bigfoot area except for me. So I've got 3 cameras that are like just full thermal that are sitting there, and they're actually a full rotation, so I can spin them in 360 degrees. They're weatherproof. They're high end, basically Chinese made security type cameras, but they are fully functional and like capable. But I have 7 streams, and actually I built the architecture to where hold on, sorry, my screen went out there. I built the architecture to where every 2 hours it records every single bit from every stream that's active and puts it into a video on demand on the app. So you can go to every single hour and go review any kind of data you want. It's all transparent. So if you have activity and I don't know, you think somebody is hoaxing or something, you can look at the whole day's worth of footage, right? So I have it to where it actually does for every stream for 2 weeks. So it's something like 4 terabytes a month of data that people can go and process and walk through. And then on every single stream, if you're watching the video on demand of like not live and you're going through last night's footage, or if you're watching it live, you can hit a button and do a sighting report and it goes to a database. Eventually I'll post that database to everyone, but basically that database works with another database that I put together. That's like a machine learning database that's capturing all the heat signatures, amplitude. Some of these cameras don't have sound just because the property owners didn't want sound that close to their house, right? But sound, amplitude, a little bit of everything. So I'm building a whole model around that so I can publish that and try to get some data points of frequency and activity. And then, I eventually, if we get enough stuff and activity, we could build a whole computer vision model around actually making just an algorithm for Bigfoot to look for only those signs, right? So it's a lot of data collection. So it's a little bit everything on the back end. Like I'm programming it every day as far as when I have time to. And then there's another section where you can, if you do reporting, I'll upload the video clip and you can go watch the video clip. If anyone wants anything like physical, they can just email me. I'll send them MP4 of whatever 2-hour chunk they want and they can have it, right? So it's $4.99 a month, which is cheaper than most things in my opinion. I think I bought a cup of coffee for $6 the other day. So and there's a lot of cost from my end. So you got to imagine all the sites I have now are all remote, as far as they don't have internet, so it's all Starlink driven. So I'm pushing 3 terabytes of data over 3 different pipes to a back-end cloud, whole infrastructure, packaging everything, storing everything, and doing all that. So
Yeah.
that's really the main reason that there's even cost, because I'm just trying to like make the cost less, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think I'm giving people something that no one else is giving. Like, I don't think anyone's doing what I'm doing, in my opinion. And I think there's a lot of things we can do with it, a lot of collaboration we can do with it. Like, we can share this across. My goal is just to have a whole infrastructure of, if anyone really wants to work with me, to like build a whole infrastructure across the US and Canada and have streams everywhere, right? Audio,
Yeah.
video. I'm looking into, like I said, I have thermal right now. I'm looking into LiDAR, doing 24/7 LiDAR detection in the woods for these high-end. So like, I'm trying to look at the latest technology. I'm talking to some government folks that have high-end technology that, I don't know, maybe sooner or later, if we get enough subscribers, I can like get some of that stuff out there, or I might do a Kickstarter or something, because some of this equipment's $20,000, right? But I probably, doing the app development over the last year and a half and all the infrastructure, I'd say it's probably $200,000 of equipment and just manpower work, software development.
Yeah. You guys, the name of the app is called Bigfoot Livestream, and you can find it for Android and for Apple. Like Logan said, it's $4.99 a month. And just from what I was able to look around before we started, it's pretty interesting. There's some videos on there you guys can look at and things like that. So, but Logan, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I love being on. Love talking to you.
I had a blast. I actually learned some things today. So, um, yeah. So if you have anything else that you would like to push out there real quick.
Sure. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, just download the app. There's a email on there. It's just contact@bigfootlightstream.org. If anyone wants to collaborate with me or work with me or really do anything, if you have a high frequency site that you think might produce some evidence, there's a forum on the app where you can send me something and I can work with you. So yeah, I'm just super open to working with people. Don't care who it is, digging in, trying to get this discovery kind of mainstream and like recognized.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close up the show. If you want to hang out in the lobby just for a second, I'll see you in a second. All right, you guys, that was Logan. You guys, honestly, number one, what he's doing is the first time I've ever heard of it. Now, I've heard people setting up trail cams and things like that and putting out audio devices out there and listening devices. Awesome. But putting out thermals, high resolution cameras, linking them to Starlink, 4 terabytes of data, that's crazy. And he built an app. So it's all in the palm of your hand. So if you guys would like to check that out, again, it is Bigfoot Livestream. You can find it for Android and Apple, and it's $4.99 a month. So you guys, I can't get off of here without saying what I need to say. If you guys have had an encounter and you'd like to come on the show, please email me at the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. As my buddy Josh from Mysteries Unknown always says, stay prayed up, everybody. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend begins with the sighting. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?